Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, December 15th, 2020, is from Revelation chapter 11, verses 1 through 12, and it's about the two witnesses of the Lord's in the last days. I'm going to read it all, and then I'm going to comment. Chapter 11, verse 1 and following. Then I was given a measuring rod like a staff, and I was told, "Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and those who worship there. But do not measure the court outside the temple, leave that out, for it is given over to the nations, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months. And I will grant authority to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, or 42 months, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two lampstands that stand before the Lord of the earth. And if anyone would harm them, fire pours from their mouth and consumes their foes. If anyone would harm them, this is how he is doomed to be killed. They have the power to shut the sky, that no rain may fall during the days of their prophesying. And they have power over the waters to turn them into blood and to strike the earth with every kind of plague, as often as they desire. And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that rises from the bottomless pit will make war on them and conquer them and kill them. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city that symbolically is called Sodom and Egypt, where the Lord was crucified. For 3.5 days, some of the peoples and tribes and languages and nations will gaze at the dead bodies and refuse to let them be placed in a tomb. And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them and make merry and exchange presents, because these two prophets have been a torment to those who dwell on the earth. But after the 3.5 days, a breath of life from God entered them. And they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell on those who saw them. Then they heard a loud voice from heaven say to them, "Come up here." And they went up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies watched them. Well, the two witnesses of the Lord testify to Jesus and his identity. But in this case, there is no turn the other cheek. No turn the other cheek. Should anyone try to harm the witnesses, they fight back with great destruction. Inasmuch as the world does not believe in Jesus or accept his kingship, they do not accept the two witnesses or their testimony. So much of the world suffers because of them. In fact, the two witnesses can cause suffering anytime they want for as long as they want. When they finish, and that's an important part, when they finish their testimony, they have testified completely now. So when they finish their testimony, the beast of the earth who rises out of the bottomless pit will make war on them and eventually will kill them. Their bodies are allowed to remain uncovered outside as proof of their death for all the world to see. And the world rejoices and celebrates the death of these two witnesses to the Lord, these two tormentors of the people of the world. But here's the cool thing. These two witnesses receive the breath of God in 3.5 days after their death. And then they stand on their feet. They are resurrected from the dead. I told you it was cool. Just as all those who died believing in Jesus will be resurrected. A voice in heaven calls for them to come. So a voice in heaven will call for all those who are resurrected to come and join Christ in the air, and they will do so. The promise of the resurrection is foundational to our faith, and we can trust in it. If we die before the Lord comes again, we will be raised up to life. Isn't that good news? Here's a bonus for you. There has been great speculation over the centuries as to who these two witnesses really are, and scholars are divided in their speculation. I'm going to tell you just the thinking of one group of people. They believe that the two witnesses are Elijah and Enoch, the only two human beings to be taken up into heaven without having died. You'll find Elijah is one of Israel's greatest prophets, and you'll learn about him in 1st and 2nd Kings, and you'll find out a little bit about Enoch in Genesis chapter 5, and more in the book of Enoch in the apocryphal section of the Bible. Both men never have died before. They had been translated up to heaven with God. Elijah on a chariot, and Enoch just simply went with God. But when they return to be witnesses on behalf of the Lord, they're going to be killed. They're going to taste death, just like nearly all human beings will. For some may be alive when Christ returns. But they're going to be raised from, from their death, raised to life again, raised to live forever. God has not forgotten them, nor will death be able to claim them for any longer than 3.5 days. They are resurrected and live with Christ in the end. That's what we have hope in as well, isn't it? Go in peace. Serve the Lord.